Coming up next, 3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trot, our 6th race of the night, a purse of $322,276. Well, the Hamiltonian has long been harness racing's most prestigious event. The competition for 3-year-old trotters began in 1926. Goshen was its home during the 30s, 40s, and early 50s. DuQuoin staged the race in the late 50s, 60s, and 70s. And now the Meadowlands host this traditional stakes race. Well, this year's Hamiltonian will long be remembered for the spectacular finish. And you know what? It deserves another look.
Probe is surging on the outside. They're an eighth of a mile out, and it is Probe who forges to the front. Peace Corps is game and can't stay with her. And now Park Avenue Joe is bursting through in between horses. It's Probe in front. Park Avenue Joe toward the inside. Those two in a photo finish, and Probe is hanging on.
Well, it took a lot of pressure off. I really didn't go into it thinking I was going to win, but after I did win the first heat, it took a lot of pressure off me as far as, you know, going in the second heat and thereafter.
Park Avenue Joe attacks on the outside, and here he comes now. And Peace Corps is kicking in late. Here comes Peace Corps, the sensational filly on the outside. Park Avenue Joe with the lead. Peace Corps on the outside. Probe is off strong. They're coming to the finish, and it is Park Avenue Joe to win it.
The first heat, I thought if I got a little better shot at him a little sooner, that maybe I would have won the first heat, and then that would have been all over in 2 heats. But he felt good. He come out of that good, and just things got better as the day went on.
And Probe now edges off the rail, and the battle will be joined a quarter of a mile out, and these two trotters now are heading.
Well, around the last turn and in the head of the stretch, I never asked him to trot at all. I wanted him to make his move and start to come. I wanted to save my horse as long as I could, and that's what I did. We didn't really get to trot until we got well into the stretch.
I really did think I was going to beat him about halfway on lane. I did have him one time for about 4 or 5 steps because my bike was by his, my wheel was about 5-6 inches.
Roaring back, a relentless drive to the wire. Park Avenue Joe, Probe, here's the finish. Too close to call. Too close to call. Park Avenue Joe and Probe were a nose apart on the finish line.
When we crossed the wire, I looked over and I thought I'd won it, and then I looked over and I seen my bike wheel was ahead of his, and then I took a closer look and seen that his bike was longer and his horse was longer than mine, so then I thought I'd get beat. So it was a pretty exciting thing.
Not knowing that he would place me second, I was ready, told Ronnie right after the wire that I would be happy with a dead heat, and I still was, just standing there waiting for the photo.
It was a great feeling. Like I said earlier, 2 weeks before that, I never even had a drive in the Hamiltonian, so it was just a great thrill, something that the only other thing that came close to it for me, or maybe was as good as it, was a Little Brown Jug with Ralph Hanover, but just exciting to win them kind of races because they're very hard to win.
Now we're ready for tonight's post parade for the 6th race as we watch 3-year-old Colts and Geldings. Number 1 is Rapido.
He's a full brother of the great filly champion Armbro Fling. He's won 6 of 9 races and $160,000 as a 2-year-old, but he's winless in 8 starts this year, and he doesn't figure to change that status tonight.
Driver is Jimmy Takter, 29-year-old Swedish horseman, driving his 5th Breeders' Crown event. 1A, Egyptian Gentleman.
He's won $334,000 on steadiness this year, but he has until now lacked the explosive brilliance needed to win the big ones. He gets an explosive new driver tonight.
And that driver is Mike LaChance, 4-time national driving champion when based in New York, now calls the Meadowlands home and had a brilliant season. 1B, Probe.
Like Egyptian Gentleman and Rapido, he's owned by the Lindy Farms of Connecticut. The 3-horse Lindy entry has won over $1 million, but Probe has not won since that dramatic dead heat with Park Avenue Joe in the Hamiltonian.
Bill Fay gets the job done. Pompano Harness holds a special place in his heart. He proposed to his wife here via the message board. Number 2 is Keystone Dominator.
His trainer, Dr. Ken Sieber, says this $215,000 yearling was intimidated by Peace Corps in the Kentucky Futurity when he realized who she was. He hasn't been able to beat the boys either in his recent starts.
In the bike is Ron Waples. He won this event with Sugarcane Hanover in 1986. He later drove the horse to another Crown victory in '87. 2A is Park Avenue Joe.
Winner of the Hambletonian, Harness Racing's Kentucky Derby, Joe has earned $666,000 this year, but he is not the hot horse in tonight's Breeders' Crown.
John Campbell, the driver of Park Avenue Joe, the all-time leader in the sport for earnings. He's grossed $79 million, and folks, he's only 34. Number 3 is DeMilo Hanover.
Here is the hot horse and favorite, finally realizing the brilliant promise of his brief 2-year-old season. A brother to the $1 million winner, DeMilo Hanover, he crushed his competition in a wire-to-wire victory here a week ago.
Bert Lindstedt will be in the bike. He's earned over $1 million of Breeders' Crown purse money, but he's driven just 14 horses. Number 4 is Esquire Spur.
Here's a possible upsetter. He was accidentally left behind in Maryland after winning the $105,000 Colonial at Rosecroft 2 weeks ago, but it only made him mad, and he won here impressively in a Crown elimination last week.
Dick Stillings will be in the bike. He's based at the Meadows in western Pennsylvania, where he's been among the leading drivers for the past 10 years. Completing this field is number 5, Flying Irishman.
A $451,000 winner, he obviously rates a chance, although DeMilo Hanover beat him decisively last week. His recent performances include a thunderous 5.5-length victory in a Colonial division at Rosecroft 2 weeks ago.
So there's the complete field for the 3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trot. 5 minutes to post at Pompano. Welcome back to the Breeders' Crown. Coming up, the 3-year-old Colt Trot. We are 3 minutes to post, and the purse for this race is over $322,000. It is time to meet the top contenders for the 3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trot. Ellie Sarama has more.
The 3-year-old trotting colts have been a competitive group throughout the season. With Park Avenue Joe's victory in the Hambletonian, everyone took notice after defeating Peace Corps in the second heat. He was awarded the victory after a dead heat, with Probe in the race-off.
Probe attacks on the outside, and neither of the great trotters giving way. They are full tilt down the stretch, an eighth of a mile off. Park Avenue Joe giving him gately. Probe out in front, Probe on the outside. Park Avenue Joe comes roaring back. A relentless drive to the wire. Park Avenue Joe, Probe, here's the finish. Too close to call.
Park Avenue Joe earned his spot in the Breeders' Crown final with a third-place finish in the eliminations last week. However, one of his main competitors will be DeMilo Hanover, the winner of that first elimination with an impressive wire-to-wire victory, turning away all challengers. With over $300,000 in the bank, this sure-footed and ultra-consistent son of Super Bowl has quick gate speed. That, along with the #1 post, will give him a slight edge over the rest of the field in what may be his last career start. But yet another colt appeared on the scene. The late-blooming Esquire Spur. Back on October 14th in the Colonial Trot at Rosecroft in Maryland, he lowered his lifetime record to 156 flat with a sparkling front-end victory. Just 6 days later, he came back to compete in the second elimination for the Breeders' Crown, and with a convincing performance of sheer speed, he may be the one to beat.
So we are 1 minute to post as we take a look at Park Avenue Joe, and we will have a special camera on Park Avenue Joe. It'll be on the helmet of John Campbell. Hope to offer a different perspective on what it's like to be on the racetrack and what it looks like to be competitive in a race.
It'll be an interesting view, and it'll depend, of course, largely where Campbell is. I have a hunch that you may be seeing someone in front of him because DeMilo Hanover is the horse he's going to have to beat tonight.
There's the perspective from John Campbell as the horse begins the turnaround. And as you can see, that the driver is very low in a harness race. You're actually below the back of the horse. So it's not exactly a ride in the park, Stan.
You have to navigate pretty carefully. There's your field.
All right, in the current odds, the entry of Rapido, Egyptian Gentleman, and Probe. The Lindy Farms owned entry, 7-1 right now. Keystone Dominator and Park Avenue Joe. The Lou Guida Stable owned entry currently at 5-2. And the favorite right now, number 3, DeMilo Hanover, 4-5. Esquire Spur is 9-2. And Flying Irishman, a long shot, at 11-1. Let's go to Ellie Sarama.
Thanks, Bruce. I caught up with Dick Stillings earlier in the evening and talked to him about Esquire Spur. He is one of the morning line favorites, and the colt warmed up good. But I asked Dick, what took this colt so long to come around? He just came around the last 3 weeks. And Dick said to me, well, when I was bad, he was good, and when he was good, I was bad, and he says they finally got their act together, and he's ready for a fantastic race tonight. Back to you, Bruce.
The rain continues to fall in Pompano as the field gets ready to assemble behind the gate. Good close look at Mike LaChance. The Pompano track record is the same as the world record and the Breeders' Crown record. It was set by an amazing trotter named Mac Lobel. The world record here on a 5/8 mile track is 1:54.1, and that's the number we'll be focusing on tonight. I don't think we're going to see a world record.
You won't have to focus too hard on it because they won't approach that mark. The rain alone, of course, will be a factor. And there you see how it looks to John Campbell as he moves into position behind the starting gate with Park Avenue Joe.
3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trot. Second Breeders' Crown race that will be bringing you 2 out of 8. And they are assembling behind the gate. There's a look again on the helmet camera on top of John Campbell, Park Avenue Joe. Right now, DeMilo Hanover 4-5, the public's choice from the 3-hole. And the second choice at 2-1 is the entry of Keystone, Dominator, and Park Avenue Joe. Let's go up to Gary Seibel to call the race.
All right, Bruce, thank you very much. And that should be a very interesting shot from John's helmet. Maybe a wet shot, but nonetheless, it should be interesting. And now this field is in motion. They're going to straighten out onto the backstretch and get ready for this 3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trot. Off his performance last week, DeMilo Hanover appears to be the one to beat. We're going to find out right now in this event. They're off and trotting along the rail, taking command. DeMilo Hanover right alongside Esquire Spur. And moving out right now in between horses, that is Flying Irishman. Coming away on the inside, Rapido, followed right there on the outside. It's Egyptian Gentleman. Coming back to Keystone, Dominator, Park Avenue Joe, and Pro. They trot around the first turn, and on top it is DeMilo Hanover. Flying Irishman is right there on the outside. Esquire Spur has tucked himself in neatly third. They open up the mile with a good quarter, 28 1/5. And now they trot by the stands the first time. DeMilo Hanover. Bernd Lindstedt checks the field behind him. On the outside, trotting second, Flying Irishman at the rail. Esquire Spur is right there. Egyptian Gentleman second over fourth. Rapido hugs the rail fifth, followed by Keystone, Dominator, Probe, and Park Avenue Joe has made a break. Park Avenue Joe off stride. Heading to the half, DeMilo Hanover, and he's still got a snug hold on him. On the outside, Flying Irishman going a tough mile at the rail. Esquire Spur third. The half went in 57 seconds flat. That second quarter, 28 4. They are now on to the backstretch, and it's still DeMilo Hanover, a little more than a lane. Flying Irishman on the outside, and now Egyptian Gentleman is being set up 3 wide. Esquire Spur is at the rail, and right there, he needs racing room. Keystone, Dominator going up, followed by Rapido and Probe, but DeMilo Hanover has been on top at every call, and he leads the field by 3/4 in 1:26 4/5. They're bunching up as they head for home. DeMilo Hanover at the rail, and now Esquire Spur is free and closing in on him. It's a 2-horse battle. DeMilo Hanover put to the whip. Esquire Spur going right on by after the perfect pocket trip. Esquire Spur now drawing clear. DeMilo Hanover and Keystone, Dominator. It's Esquire Spur in front. The mile in 1:56 1.
Esquire Spur improving all the time. Impressive last week at Pompano. A winner in the Breeders' Crown unofficially in 1:56 1. The combination of Dick Stillings, the trainer driver, and owner Roy Davis have combined for many a Spur. Cowboy Spur, Gunslinger Spur, Barberry Spur, Kentucky Spur, who you'll see later tonight. Now a champion, I guess an unexpected champion in Esquire Spur.
I have a hunch that he wasn't that unexpected to Dick Stillings. He knew this week that he had this horse right, and as he told Ellie, he said, when he's right and I'm right, we're going to be tough. He was here. Bernd Lindstedt took DeMilo Hanover to the front, tried for a wire-to-wire victory as he engineered last week. But Stillings had gotten right in behind, had a perfect trip, as they say in harness racing, and when he came out at the head of the stretch, as you see here, he had plenty of horse, simply overpowered him with Esquire Spur, who is a 3-year-old son of a stallion called Joie de Vie, who stands in New Jersey, and who is owned by 2 attorneys from Pittsburgh, Ed Beechler and John Townsend, and Roy Davis of McMurray, Pennsylvania, and Davis's regular trainer driver, Dick Stillings, is the winner with Esquire Spur.
Somebody asked Dick Stillings last week, how come we don't know much about Esquire Spur? He says, you haven't been to many qualifiers. Early in the year, he was spending a lot of time at small racetracks, at major racetracks, but in qualifiers, and now a big-time Colt. Esquire Spur, unofficial winner in the 3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trot. We'll return to Pompano. Let's go to John Pavlak.
Down here in the winner's circle, a little bit of rain coming down, but there's sunshine in the life of Dickie Stillings. Dickie, where's this one been all year?
Well, we've been kind of, first of all, I want to say hello to my wife. She's sick at home and didn't make the trip, but he's just been coming on the last month, and right now we're pretty tickled with it.
You know, as the field turned for home, Dickie, you look to be buried along the rail following the favorite, covered up on the outside, nowhere to go.
Well, I couldn't beat the 1 horse out of the gate, so I looked to take a 2-hole trip. I just hoped my horse would respond by sitting in the hole. Lately, sometimes he gets in a hole, he gets a little rammy, but tonight the speed was great and we got along good.
This has been a great division all year long. Let's talk now briefly with Roy Davis, one of the owners from down Pennsylvania way. Roy, you think you got a shot at 3-year-old trotting colt?
No, I don't think we have a shot at 3-year-old trotting colt, and all Dickie and I want to do is win a 3-year-old colt pace tonight, and we'll be happy to have 2 Breeders' Crowns.
1, maybe 2 for Roy Davis, Dick Stillings. We'll know a little later tonight. Let's go back to Dick Stillings. Should we get Dickie is already talking to some of the press, so let's go back up to Bruce Beck.
Thank you, John. Esquire Spur, your race winner. Park Avenue Joe, wearing the camera, was off stride early around the first turn. And you can see the ceremonies in the beautiful front paddock area here at Pompano as Esquire Spur and Dick Stillings and Roy Davis will hear some plaudits, I would think, tonight.
Stillings is probably one of the most underrated, although in recent years he's been coming on horsemen in the business. He's one of the finest selectors of yearlings in this sport. Great percentage.
And the prices and the race is now official. Esquire Spur returning $11.60, $3.40, and $2.40. DeMilo Hanover second, $2.40 and $2.10. Keystone Dominator third, $2.40. Time of the mile, 1:56 and 1. The Perfecta here at Pompano, $20.40. There are lots of different exotic bets at Pompano, and we're not going to show you all of them, but we will show you the winner's circle. Dick Stillings winning the Breeders' Crown with Esquire Spur, and later tonight I'll have a chance to come back with Kentucky Spur. But Esquire Spur, the winner of the 3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trot. And it continues to pour hard here at Pompano. We're still enjoying ourselves, and we're looking forward to bringing you 6 more races during the course of the evening, 4 live and 2 on videotape. And you were talking about Dick Stillings. Underrated is definitely a word that would describe him, Stan.
He doesn't have a very big stable each year. He only picks 8 or 9, 10 yearlings, but he comes up year after year with outstanding selection. This colt was only a $22,000 purchase at the standardbred sale in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but it didn't stop him from winning a $300,000 race tonight.
We pick up the last half of the race, Stan.
Well, Stillings has position right down at the rail behind DeMilo Hanover. The big concern was whether he was going to get trapped at the rail. He had horses outside him that didn't figure, and one of the advantages that DeMilo Hanover had is that he had Flying Irishman right alongside him, a horse that did not figure to beat him and was impeding other horses getting around. They had to go 3 wide. But Stillings stayed where he was, and DeMilo Hanover stayed down at the rail. So Stillings here, when they turned for home, found room, got out, and once he had clearance, his horse was clearly the best. So he was fortunate. The horses outside of him simply couldn't keep up. He not only could, but goes on to this thunderous triumph here as DeMilo Hanover tires in the stretch.
He made the move, a confident move. The 3-year-old Colt by Joie de Vie out of the Speedy Crown mare, Love Touch.